Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. We are live talking about all things Manchester United. So make sure you are getting involved in the chat and the comments as we go through all the latest transfer news, because we are in the transfer window and all the stories are focusing on transfers, whether that's outgoings or incomings. So make sure you are hitting that like button and get involved. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on these transfer stories. We'll be chatting about loads of people in the chat already. Zam H says, morning Jay, you absolute legend, morning to you. Harry Potter, Mick Hullahan, Min Hoytland there, BMW Racing 1974, Jacoya Trot, good to see all you guys in the chat. Make sure you are all hitting that like button. Right, let's talk about, we'll start with some outgoings, because there's a few players that have been linked with a move away from Manchester United this January, let's not forget as well. We're talking about potential January transfers. We're not talking about what's going to happen in the summer. It looks like Manchester United could be doing some business this January, both outgoings and incomings. So Anthony is one that's doing the rounds this morning. Our mate Florian Plettenberg, who's been on the channel, he's spoken about this, he tweeted about this. He's saying there, I think you can see it, that Olympiacos have asked for a loan deal with Anthony. I think that says after Sun, hashtag don't buy the Sun, I've added that bit in. Understand the deal is not fully off, but very, very complicated. As reported, Anthony can leave United this transfer window. He's not really getting minutes, is he, Anthony? He's had a few minutes in there. He's had, I think he's had, is it 2 starts maybe? Under Ruben Amorim, maybe 1 or 2, not many anyway. He's not had much of an opportunity under the new manager. And to be honest with you, I'll be honest, I don't think he needs one or deserves one. I don't think he's good enough. So I think him moving on would be the best course of action for all concerned. I know his wages are big. He's not one of the top earners at the club, but he's on a lot of money. I think he's on about 200k a week, which is a lot of money. Let's not pretend it isn't. So getting that wage off the books would be great. If United could get something for him, that'd be even better. But it feels like a loan deal, as Florian Plettenberg is saying there, is more likely, but it isn't likely, if that makes any sense. If there is going to be a move, it will probably be a loan deal, but certainly a loan deal to Olympiacos. At the minute, looks more unlikely than likely. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Anthony. I mean, his stock's not very high, is it? Let's be frank. He hasn't scored a lot of goals and got a lot of assists for Manchester United. His performances have been patchy, and that's me being kind. He started off quite well. I think he had 3 goals in his first 3 games. Played his part in a successful season under Erik ten Hag in that first season, United finishing 3rd and winning the Carabao Cup and getting to the FA Cup final. But even during that first season, I think he went 3 or 4 months without a goal and assist in the Premier League. The following season, massively disappointed. And this season hasn't really done much. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ruben Amorim, who obviously didn't buy him as well, even Erik ten Hag, who bought him, wasn't playing him that often. I wouldn't be surprised if Ruben Amorim looked at him and thought, not for me. Because we wondered, didn't we? I think Joe made this point when Amorim came in, whether Anthony could be someone who works in a Ruben Amorim system. That wing-back position on the right-hand side, I know he's left-footed, looked like that could be the one, because that's what Ruben Amorim likes to do. However, I think he gave him, was it the Bodo Glimt game or one of the games, the Europa games? I think he tried him in that position. I mean, it's not happening for him, is it? He's not getting minutes. He's not getting games. I just don't see him sort of featuring much from Ruben Amorim. So if we can get him off the wages, off the wage bill, then that makes sense to me. Let me know what you think. Do you think there is still a future for Anthony at Old Trafford? Do you think we should be trying to move him on? Would you like to see him stay? I'm interested to hear what you think. Whitterbird says, Anthony gets no minutes to do anything. She feels, I don't know that. Do you think he needs more of an opportunity? Let me know what you think. Mr. Sodium says, get Anthony out of here. He scored more goals than Grealish. So that's true. I think anyone who's scored a goal has scored more goals than Grealish. I think De Ligt scored more goals than Grealish. Bedala Pacamianio says, boot Casemiro out of the club before we even think about shipping Anthony off. We're going to get to Casemiro in a minute, because there is a Casemiro story. So we'll talk about him, because he's another player that has been linked with the move. Colin Kupadic in the chat as well. Akash K says, huge massive write down for United on Anthony. Yeah, we're going to lose a big chunk of money, aren't we? I think it was 80 million. It was 80 million euros I think we paid up front for him, something around that. It could go up to 100 million euros, but that's not going to happen. I think that was with a load of stipulations that we're not going to meet. But if he was to leave, right, if this is the end of his United career, if he was to leave, he will go down as one of the worst ever signings for Manchester United. He's just pound for pound, he will. The amount of money we've paid and what we got out of him. However, who knows? I think it's 95 initial fee of 95 million euros. and the total fee could be 100 million euros. I mean, that's disgusting, isn't it? That's just, and that's not Anthony's fault. It's not, he didn't ask to have that money spent on him, but that is just terrible, terrible business for Manchester United. Laurie Whitwell did a deep dive on what was going on behind the scenes at Manchester United with the whole, not just with the Anthony transfer, but other stuff as well around that time. And I think the club valued Anthony at around 35 million and ended up paying almost 3 times that for him. Makes zero sense whatsoever, and that's just how Manchester United operate, or certainly how they were operating. And we'll wait and see if they've fixed up under Ineos. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford. He's a player that could be going out as well. You see this in The Guardian. Our mate Jamie Jackson says Marcus Rashford alone target for Milan as Manchester United mull Xerxes exit. It says Milan want United to foot much of Rashford's salary. Juventus interested in loan deal for Netherlands forward. So it looks like Marcus Rashford could be going to Inter Milan. It says it there. Marcus Rashford is being targeted by Milan, not Inter Milan, sorry, AC Milan, regarding a potential loan, with any deal dependent on Manchester United paying a sizable portion of the forward salary of about 365k a week. Now, Jamie was on the channel a few weeks ago, about just over a week ago, and he said this. He said about Marcus Rashford being around, his wages being around 365k a week. I don't know if that's with add-ons. I think it is. And he said that if he was to move from Manchester United, if there was to be a deal where Marcus Rashford was moved on, he thinks it'd be a loan move, and he thinks someone would pay part of the wages, but the club would have to foot a lot of the wages, because you're going to struggle to get anyone who's going to come in and pay 300k or whatever it is a week for Marcus Rashford services. And that saddens me to say that, because there was a time when almost any club in Europe would have had him, but that was what seems like an eternity ago. His stock isn't very high. He isn't even in the squad. Obviously, that's not just for footballing reasons. Him and the manager aren't getting on. But who's gonna be willing to pay, what's that, 1.34 million a month on a player, maybe a bit more, on a player who's not played much football over the last month or so? I think this makes sense if Manchester United are willing to pay some of his wages. Take the hit, but also get some money back and move him on. It can't be good having someone in the squad, or not even in the matchday squad, but around the squad in training, who obviously isn't getting any minutes. The manager doesn't want to play, or doesn't trust to play, and doesn't want to be here. Marcus Rashford has said he wants to leave. I think United needs to move him on. Joshua Xerxes is slightly different. He obviously has featured. He came on against Liverpool, perhaps could have got the winner, although I've seen a few pictures doing the rounds sort of saying that was offside. But either way, Joshua Xerxes featuring under Ruben Amorim. He's had a tough time of it himself. He obviously got booed for the Newcastle game, but United fans were chanting his name at Anfield, which was good to hear. We should always get behind our players. However, is he the guy from Manchester United? Is he the answer to our problems when it comes to the lack of goals? Probably not. I know he got a couple against Everton, but he's not really got going at Manchester United, has he? And I know it's still relatively early into his Manchester United career. He only arrived in the summer, but so far it has been pretty underwhelming. Juve interested in him. He had a very good spell at Bologna, did well at Serie A. He knows that league. He's done well there. He was their top scorer. He helped them get into the Champions League. And obviously the manager there, Thiago Motta, is his manager from Bologna. He was the guy that had him at Bologna. Now Motta's gone to Juve. Juve are a bit of a funny one, aren't they? Haven't they drawn like 12 games or something in the league? Aren't they undefeated in the league, and they're about 5th? They're having a really weird time of it, Juventus. So maybe he can go there, get his career going again, if that's not a little bit too melodramatic. And Manchester United can maybe use the money that we're saving from some of these deals to bring someone else in. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Stephanie Griffiths makes a great point. 1,000 watching, not even 100 likes. Let's sort that out. Kevin Reese, going back to the Anthony one, says we paid way over the odds for Anthony, as we did for Sancho and Casemiro. Those days are over now. I hope you're right. I hope Ineos are doing things differently in a positive way. Akash K, I'm going to judge Xerxes in his second season. Ornstein says Xerxes wants to stay. So if Xerxes wants to stay, he'll probably stay. I think he'd have to want to move. A player's got to want to move. You can't force a player to sign for someone else, even if it's a loan deal. He has to want to, or be willing to do that. And if Xerxes is saying, look, no, I want to stay and fight for my place, then I respect that. I'm not going to criticise a player for wanting to stay at Manchester United. Let's talk quickly about Casemiro. I think this is Ben Jacobs who's spoken about this. We've had Ben Jacobs on the channel. We've had him all on the channel, haven't we? Except for Ornstein. We need to get Ornstein on the channel. That's the next one. He's saying that I think there's a club that are interested in Saudi. Sorry, I'm struck my eyesight's terrible. Basically, you can see it there. Casemiro could be available for around 30 million euros. Look, if we can get anything like that for Casemiro, I think that'd be great business. Saudi seems like a likely destination for him. Casemiro was one of the best defensive midfielders on the planet. that first season did very well for Manchester United, particularly the first sort of 6 months or so. However, it's not really happening for him anymore, is it? And you can see it there. You saw it there on was it the Newcastle game? I mean, to be honest with you, a midfield of Casemiro and Eriksen. I don't like criticising Ruben Amorim, but that is one criticism I would have had him for that game. I think he got that one wrong. I mean, it was a bit naive, wasn't it, to think that those two would have the legs that you needed to go up against the likes of Joe Linton and Bruno Guimaraes. Casemiro, for me, probably needs to move on. He's still a good player. I don't think he's a terrible footballer, but has he quite got the legs for the pace of the Premier League? I'm not so sure he has. Akash K has just gifted 5 Stretford Paddock memberships. Thank you to Akash K. Hope people are taking advantage of that, and we appreciate that. I'm going to be doing some announcements later on today on the 12 days of Paddock. I think this is today's announcement day where we do the draw, and you can win a PlayStation 5. Let's talk about some incomings then, because there's a few players that could be coming in this window. I think one who is sort of been doing the rounds, and I think Ornstein, there you can see the tweet. Ornstein has tweeted there that Spurs, United and Juve exploring a deal to sign Kolo Muani on loan from PSG. Kolo Muani, decent player. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit underwhelmed by this. When Ornstein speaks, we listen, don't we? Because he's like toppest of the tier ones. So you go, okay, if Ornstein's saying it, there's something in that. However, there's always this element with United and signings and strikers and basically any player. I've been guilty of it myself. When you know we need to strengthen and we're linked with a player, you think, yeah, just get him. Just get anyone. Let a striker, yeah, just get any striker in. We need goals. We need a striker. He could be the answer to our problems. He's got to be better than what we've got. At least it's something. Muani, his record is this season, I'm looking at it here. I mean, it's okay. Scored a couple of goals in Ligue 1. And I think he had 2 in his first 3 games this season. And then he hasn't scored since. He's missed a few games with injury. He's been on the bench quite a few times. He's not started many games, to be fair to the kid. It's not that impressive if we're being brutally honest. It's just okay. And in the Champions League this season, again, I think he started 1 game. He hasn't got any goals or assists. PSG not having a good time of it. I think they won 1 game that he's played in. And the other 2 games that he hasn't played, they lost to Bayern Munich, he was on the bench. They beat RB Salzburg, he was on the bench. So he's not really featured loads this season, and his record is okay. Going back to last season, which we can see there, I mean, slightly better, 26 appearances in Ligue 1, 11 goal involvements, 10 Champions League games, 1 goal involvement. I mean, you can see the totals there at the bottom. They're okay. They're nothing to get excited about. And I'm a bit low over this idea. We'll just get anyone in. He's a striker. We need strikers. He's got to be better than what we got. Well, has he, though? Is he? You tell me what you think. Let me know what you think. You might have seen a lot more of him than I have. I haven't watched loads of him. I'm not going to pretend. Witterbird has gifted 5 Stretford Paddock memberships. Thank you, Vicky. Big support of the channel. We appreciate that. Hope you guys are taking advantage of that. I see Ines Fushi has already thanked her. Good stuff as well. And Akash K has gifted a membership as well. Again, thank you, Akash. Tiger UK says, Moani's a handful, but could be one to work with and progress. Could be a shrewd signing. Okay, fair enough. If you think that, let me know. Brian Casey says, I'm back for 30 days at least. Laughing emoji. MHD Hafiz says, Muani is not that good and definitely not the striker that Man United need. Let's talk about other areas we could be strengthening. It says here I think this is Alex Turk, who used to work with us. No, Alex, good lad. He says, Man United to push to sign Nuno Mendes. Manchester United are pushing to sign PSG left back, we love PSG, don't we? Left back Nuno Mendes this month, according to the report. So this is originated from the Telegraph. They claim that Ruben Amorim wants to reunite with the 22-year-old who he worked with at Sporting, before PSG sealed a £34 million deal in 2022. Amorim views Mendes as his ideal first United signing to address a problem position in the early stages of his reign. The report adds that PSG hope that Mendes won't ask to leave for a club absent from the Champions League and this summer's FIFA Club World Cup. Really? It gives a toss. Yeah, the Champions League thing might be real. If he's got a good relationship with Ruben Amorim, that might appeal to him, working with the manager that he knows and trusts. Also, listen, you may say, oh, well, United aren't in the Champions League. United aren't the force that we were. United are in the bottom half of the table. We're still Manchester United Football Club. We're still one of the biggest clubs in the world. That can be attractive to players. We signed Paul Pogba and Zlatan Ibrahimovic when we weren't in the Champions League. Now, I know wages and fees and all that play a part in it. You've got to pay, players decent money if they're not going to be playing in the Champions League. But there is still an appeal there for Manchester United. It's very easy to just hate on Manchester United about everything. And go, oh, we're rubbish. No one would want to come here. Why didn't want to go United? But we're still the biggest club in England. We are. We've still got a massive fan base. And we've got a young manager who could be going places with this team if you give him the right tools. And if you can sell that to a player. You can say, look, you're joining a team that's got a new manager in, that has had success at Sporting and can move this club forward, this great club forward, then maybe you can be a part of that. That can appeal to players, especially if a player is going from a club that, no disrespect to PSG, they're a big club, they're not as big as Manchester United. Let's not get it twisted, they're just not. Another player we've been linked with is Kirkes. You can see this is from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United keep looking at left wing backs, as they've also added Denmark international. Oh, this is all mentions Kirkes, but also Denmark international Patrick Dergu to their list. Milos Kirkes and Nuno Mendes higher on the list, but more expensive. Dergu monitored by United scouts in recent months. Napoli are also keen on him. So it does look like that left wing back position is something we are looking at. Manchester United keen to bring in a left wing back. Let me know what you think of those options. Which ones you prefer? Is there someone that stands out? Is the one that's not been mentioned? Do you think there's another player that Manchester United should be looking at? It does feel like we need to strengthen in January. We need to do something. Look, United have struggled this season. We struggled under Erik ten Hag, and Ruben Amorim has struggled as well. And you can see a big part of the problem is we haven't got the personnel he needs for the formation. Now, I get why he's sticking with it. I'm a big advocate for him sticking with the 3-4-2-1. And I think you saw it at Anfield. When he's got certain players available, when players turn up, we can go toe-to-toe with anyone. We just need some more players that can fit into those positions properly. Because he's having to play players out of the comfort zone. I thought Diogo Dalot, for example, did a very good job at Anfield. Probably his best game this season. That's not his natural position, but he did a good job in it. Can you rely on him? Is he going to be the answer? And even if not, even if he is, you want other options as well. And at the minute, it's like Tyrone Malacia at left wing back, maybe. There's not many, is there? Luke Shaw's just injured, isn't he? He's just injured. I don't even think you can consider Luke Shaw much of an option at the minute because he's just constantly injured. And when it's not one injury, it seems to be another one. I do feel for the lad because it's not his fault, despite the fact that everyone's outraged from his TikTok shenanigans, but it's not his fault. He's just injured. You can't rely on him. Dan United 94 says, Jay, any news on your old mate, Bart Verbruggen? We were linked with him the other week. Did you see that? You may have laughed when I was hankering for Bart Verbruggen, but there was a few stories doing the rounds, I think it was last week, that Ruben Amorim wasn't quite as keen on Andre Onana and was looking at Bart Verbruggen. I was sort of talking about him before he went to Brighton, and there you go. There was an article in the Mail. It said eyeing up a £30 million move for Brighton goalkeeper Bart Verbruggen. So what's his space? Listen, I like Andre Onana. He's had a spell, hasn't he? He has had a spell, and I was glad for him at Anfield because I said before the game on the watch along, he was someone who concerned me after his performances of recent weeks where he'd been all at sea. I thought if he turns up like that at Anfield, he could be on the back of a hammering, but he did well. Hopefully he can regain his mojo because he was having a decent season and then we give him the kiss of death by praising him and then he had a terrible month. But Verbruggen is one to keep an eye on if things carry on or if things go wrong for Andre Onana. Hopefully they won't. I like Andre Onana and I think there's a player there. I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you to everyone who's got involved in the chat and the comments. We've got loads of videos coming up later on today. We've got Dharmesh Seth is going to be on the channel. Sky Sports is Dharmesh Seth. He's going to be giving us his views and opinions on what is happening at Manchester United Football Club. We'll also be talking to Laurie Whitwell from the Athletics. So it's all happening. So if you're not doing already, make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Hit that like button as well and subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers. And I think we can do it by the end of January. I think that's a big target. I think we can do it. So if you've not done so already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're back later on with all those videos. I'm Jay Moy. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.